Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for giving up your day to be with us this morning, this afternoon. The first time I came to Leicester was a few years ago, and at that time they were digging up some Plantagenet king. And they found that it was Richard III. And every time I come to Leicester, I always think of that John of Gaunt speech, this royal seat of kings, this sceptred isle. And I was thinking of that this morning. It was pouring down the rain and I was stuck in a traffic jam. And I just thought that this place is not just hallowed ground. This place is a place of inspiration for me. Because this is my fourth visit to this conference. And every time I come, I talk to lovely people who are on the front line of delivering functional skills and GCSEs. And I always go away feeling rather inspired. So, first of all, thank you very much to you for coming, to sharing your good practice, and thank you very much to BKSB for inviting me. I am going to talk a little bit about some research I'm doing both at Oxford and Cambridge, Birmingham. And the research is not conclusive, so there's a caveat here. Please don't go away thinking this has got to apply. It's not going to form policy. It's just some research I'm doing with some doctorate students on the delivery of functional skills in colleges. And what I have noticed, what I have observed, is what I'm going to try and share with you this morning. First of all, let me just say that what I'm going to say is really essentially my views. These are not the views of the organizations I am affiliated with. Okay? That's just a note of caution. I'm just making it clear. Every now and then I become political and I get in trouble. So the views I'm expressing are mine, not to do with Oxford or Birmingham or any of the colleges I have visited. I'm going to just talk a little bit about why I decided to do a little bit of research with, originally it was going to be about 60 training providers and colleges. We didn't have that much time. We ended up with about 41, which really isn't a great deal in the grand scheme of things. Okay? And I was interested in functional skills and GCSEs. I wanted to see what is happening in colleges, in schools. In one of the documents I read, over 600,000 pupils are leaving school every year without functional literacy or numeracy. That means they can't operate outside in the world of work, in shops. They can't read basic information. After 11 years of formal education, over 600,000 pupils can't read or write properly. Now that should concern us all as educationalists, and it should concern us as members of the public of one of the greatest democracies in the world. We spend more money per pupil than most of the European countries. And yet, we are failing over 600,000 pupils every year. Why is that? So, the research was really about what are we doing as teachers? What are we doing as managers? Where are we failing? What could we do better? And this is what I've actually discovered. I wasn't there to tell people what they should be doing. And neither the doctorate researchers who were working with me, they weren't going out to say, this is what you should do. We were just trying to collate information about what's happening. And this is what I have found. Okay? Functional skills is not inserted into the curriculum as effectively as it could be. We are still seeing functional skills as an appendix. And that bothers me. The chair mentioned teaching on the common course in the 1970s. I taught on the core skills back in the 1990s. There isn't a great deal of difference. The only difference I can see is that now we're getting good money from the government. And colleges are now interested in functional skills because of money. The other thing I've actually figured out is that if you compare one college to another, there is a lot of inconsistencies. So how much support you get in functional skills depends on the area that you're living in. That shouldn't be the case. Why should it be that somebody who is brought up in Handsworth in Birmingham is only going to get, 35 hours, whereas somebody else in a posher part of England is going to get 55, 65 hours. So we're failing our students because there is no consistency in terms of the contact teaching hours that we are devoting to them. Mainstream teachers also see functional skills as something beneath them. Many teachers who have got a lot of experience want to be teaching A-levels. A-levels is the creme de la creme of qualifications. That's what everybody wants to teach. So when you ask people can you teach on functional skills, they always go, oh, God, do I have to? I believe, and I've always believed this, the people who are the most experienced, people who've got the most qualifications, people who have got the most passion, people who are the most creative, they should be teaching functional skills. And functional skills students shouldn't have to deal with teachers who say, oh, I've got to do this class because I've been forced to. But really, I want to be teaching A-levels. So there's a lot of snobbery about teaching functional skills. Have I mentioned that one, maths, and that should be encouraged to teach functional skills. So that, I think, sort of goes without saying. Course management needs to really think about how they incorporate functional skills. How many of you are managers? Can you just put your hands up? Who are managers? This is for you, okay? Course managers are always asking for a scheme of work. They want to have a scheme of work in July, in August, before functional skills teachers have actually met the students. How can you possibly do a scheme of work that is tailor-made for those students when you haven't even met them? I think that's ridiculous. We've got to do a scheme of work when we have met the students. Scheme of work should not apply to every student doing functional skills. Scheme of work should be for that particular class. You know as well as I do, we have target learning. You know as well as I do that the child matters, the student matters. So why are we doing schemes of work from about 2 or 3 years ago when we should be doing a scheme of work when we have actually met the students, when we have done a diagnostic with them? There is also, in some colleges, I am not going to mention which, they have this 9-week roll-on, roll-off program. And this is for the adult evening classes, adult part-time classes where they get a student in September, and around about November, they start doing the assessment. And in a number of colleges, I've been told, they don't teach. What they do is talk about the actual exam skills. I'm sorry, I'm not a member of Ofsted, but if Ofsted came into your college and said, what kind of program have you got? And you said, well, it's a roll-on, roll-off program, 9-week one. Ofsted would say, wouldn't they? How are you teaching? This isn't teaching, this is a workshop. You're teaching to the exam. Do we have people here who have got that program for their evening classes, part-time classes? I'd love to have a chat with you later and see.
That's what we get given funding for. So once that runs out, we
Yeah.
can't afford to teach them any longer. So we have to have a set amount of guided learning hours. We just don't have the money to do it otherwise.
Okay. I think we've got to think a little bit about, what are we doing with a program like that, where we're not actually teaching, what we're doing is teaching exam skills, aren't we? And different levels being taught in the same class. How many of you got about 3 different levels? So you've got an entry 3, level 1, and you've got level 2 as well. I know a lot of people say, well, they're the same kind of skills, aren't they? I wonder how many of our colleagues would be able to get away with teaching A levels in the same class as a GCSE class. So why do we think that this is okay for functional skills? There is a little bit of snobbery attached to it. We don't really pay that much attention to functional skills delivery. And we've got to. And if you are a manager, please take this to your college, to your providers, and say, we've got to rethink about the whole ethos of functional skills. And there is too much emphasis on marked and assessed work and homework. How many of you give homework because you're really good teachers and you like giving homework at the end of every lesson? Okay, that's good. I'm not knocking it. Personally, and there's some research in this field, homework works really well for primary school children, and there is a marked difference between students who do homework and students who don't, pupils who don't. But at secondary school level and at a post-16 level, the difference is minuscule. And I think what we're doing is actually putting a lot of stress on teachers. Managers say you've got to give them homework, and then you end up marking the homework. Students don't learn from your marking, they learn from practice. I do give homework, but I do it this way. I make students beg for homework. And you're going to say, how do you do that, Rosh? I say to students, you know what? An hour is up. You've done some work. You worked really hard, but you haven't finished it. Tell you what, I won't grade it. I'll give you the chance to do it at home if you want to. Or I could grade it as it is. Most students will say, well, okay, can I take it home then? No, ask me nicely. Raj, can you please let me take it home? Why? Because I want to do it as my homework. Good, okay. What about you, Harvinder? You haven't been working very hard. So I'm going to grade your work as it is. And Harvinder's going to say, that's not fair. I think it is. You haven't worked hard enough. You don't deserve homework. I think it's the way we think about homework. We think of it as punishment. Let's make it a reward. In fact, at the end of every lesson that you give, Students should be inspired. They should want to go away and read the article you mentioned. They should go away and want to watch the film that you mentioned. They should want to do some work that you've actually been touching on. And if you're not, and if the students are not asking for homework, maybe we failed them. We haven't inspired them. And I think functional skills students really deserve some passionate, compassionate, and inspirational teachers. And if you are one of those teachers on a Monday morning, gets up and says, I've got that functional skills class, you don't deserve to be teaching those functional skills students. I really mean that. And if you're one of those teachers, get out of this profession. Because you're letting the side down. Do something else. Anything else. But we don't need teachers who says, every time I go into a staff room, I've been to a number of colleges, we go to staff room, it's Monday morning, cheer up for God's sake, if you don't like that job, do something else. Thank you. If you look at some of the slides here, that will actually tell you what I have observed. I am not in any way saying that this is conclusive, it's the gospel, it is not. These are my observations, and I am political. Okay, I haven't said anything political so far, have I? Right. I am political, and I do believe that we are failing students. And it's not entirely their fault. I was talking to the cameraman who is actually here. By the way, we're making a little documentary which will be on YouTube soon. And I was talking to the cameraman about night crime. And we were saying, what is the cause? What's the cause of night crime? Why do young people get involved in crime? The answer is very, very simple. It's not about putting more police on the beat. It's not about having security guards in your place of work. It's about giving young people decent jobs with prospects. That's the answer. But of course, politicians and policymakers, well, they haven't got that kind of an option. So they've got lots of sound bites. So you hear lots of people talking about, let's put more police on the beat. What young people need are jobs, job security. And have we got answers for that? We've got everyone here who is terribly intelligent. You've been to universities, you've got 2 or 3 degrees, you've got teaching qualifications. Have you got any answers? And will the government listen to you? Michael Gove doesn't really care about experts. But we need to be thinking about what is it that young people need. And I'm really passionate about young people. I'll say this in my workshop as well. The way to be the ideal teacher is to have a look at your worst student, the student who is the weakest, and say, what kind of a teacher would I want for that child if that child was my own child? What kind of teacher do I want? Do I want that teacher who says, I've got that functional skills class again. It's Monday morning, can't wait for Friday. Do I want that teacher for my child? I don't think so. I want a teacher who is inspirational. A couple of years ago, Giles Hall invited me to do a workshop. And I sang Proud Mary on this platform. And the reason was that every now and then we should do something scary. Yeah? Something that makes us feel, oh my God, I've never done this before. And I sang Proud Mary. I have never sang in front of anyone before or since. Pretty good reason for that. So every now and then, try and think about yourself as a teacher. Are you inspirational enough? Do kids want to be in your class? Do they feel happy when they are in your class? Ofsted have said they want engagement and they want enjoyment. Engagement and enjoyment. I keep saying this. Are the students enjoying your lesson? Are they engaged? Are students engaged in your class? Only you know. Could you do better? Only you know. Really. I'm going to finish now because I know that every one of you is sort of thinking about going into your workshop. And this is what we've found. Learners lack motivation, and maybe one of the reasons they lack motivation might be us. We're not inspirational enough. Education for most students is a reminder of their failure. Just imagine you've gone into school for 11 years and you failed your GCSE English and Maths. Are you going to be inspired to go to your class? Are you going to do something different for them? And attendance and the behaviour are a problem. But if we can get rid of the motivation factor, or the lack of motivation, then maybe attendance and behaviour might not be such a problem. By the way, those of you who are thinking, oh, well, you haven't been to my college, I'll tell you something. 2 weeks ago, I was in a college and I was told that I'm a wanker. Oh, I love these kids, don't you? So, I know where you're coming from. So I'm not talking as if I've never been in a classroom before. I've spent all my 30 years involved with classroom teaching, with FE colleges, with private schools, with state schools, here, abroad. I know how things are done. And I know where we are failing. And I think it might be an attitude. Okay? And teachers lack empathy and understanding. We really got to start looking at students as if they are our own children. And when you start doing that, you know what? Things start changing. Okay. Those of you who are in my workshop, this is a prelude. This is what I believe about education. We are mortal, temporal creatures, but education is steadfast and will outlast us all. It possesses both youth and immortality and will continue far beyond time and space. It will surpass all value, rich or rare. It is the eye to the universe, a modest attempt to make sense of this world, this bright, dazzling chaos. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.